to the best podcast on the planet.
It's the best podcast on the planet. Thank you very much for stopping back by, Seth, Dale, and Holly. And today we have a really cool program.
Hey. Got a
Well, I was just letting them know what we're going to do for the program today. We're going to talk about Enneagrams.
You're getting a little ahead of the thing here. We need to know what happened to the video from last week. Because
no, we don't. We don't need to talk about that. It's fine.
Yeah,
we worked very hard on that. Yeah.
It was gone.
Okay, so if you, all right. If you look, you can tell that we have spared hardly any expense, or more to the point, no expense at all, in the set design. Look at those
You
sets.
tore out your fireplace.
Yeah,
where'd it go?
We've spent dollars on recording equipment for both video and audio. Mm-hmm. We have an amazing company, Anchor, that you've heard us talk about in the commercials. Anchor, that distributes the audio for the podcast. They do a great company. We have video distribution through YouTube. All of these come down, and everybody comes together. We got this amazing talent. We all work very hard in prepping and getting ready for every show. And it all comes down to one person hitting the record button when it all starts. And last time we got together and we talked about, it was personal responsibility in the education system, which I went on a rant. You should go back and listen to it.
It was a rant.
I forgot to hit the record button on all of this. All of this coming together means nothing if I don't hit this little button right here that says start recording. So I'm sorry. It's completely my fault.
Did you hit the button now?
Obviously, yes,
okay.
I have.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Just questioning.
You're not my wife. You don't get to do that. But yes, I made sure I hit the button. So so I'm sorry. I apologize for there not being any video of last week's show. But that's the explanation. I blew it. I did something really, really stupid.
You normally don't do that, right? Stupid stuff. No.
Yeah. All right. So let's just get into it today. I grew up thinking that my personality was unique, right? That I was the only one like me. That I was different, right? I always knew I was a little different in the way I thought about things.
Sure.
But I always thought, I'm different. Well, I've taken several personality tests, and I'm finding out, and it was a little disappointing for me, I find out that I actually fit into a personality category. And apparently we all do, which, I'll be honest with you, made me a little unhappy because I thought my personality trait was unique to me. I was me. Nobody else like me, right? And apparently there's a bunch of other people like me. And so... What?
I don't think the results tell you they're all like you because you have different combinations of these things.
You sound like a different type than you told me your type, which is just funny. We'll get into that.
Okay. But anyway, anywho, Holly came up with a great idea for us to talk about these personality types, and there's the various tests that you can take to discover your personality type. And I thought that's what we would talk about today because honestly, it's really important to know your personality type, know the personality types perhaps of the other people around you, because it helps you in your relationships.
Now, Holly, did you discover this test like on a class you're taking or something? Aren't you still taking some school classes?
I am, but nothing about, I'm taking accounting classes. So this has nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I'm a nerd. So, no. No, I discovered this just from, I'm trying to remember how I did, but actually it was a music artist named Sleeping at Last, and he started putting out some songs he has a song for each type. And
really?
And so my husband
cool.
We started listening to those and realizing and learning about it. So it's interesting. So I thought it would be fun to look at. I don't take any of these personality tests horribly seriously. At least I try not to. I enjoy them, but I don't take them as gospel. I try and
right.
So okay, so I have a book. It's called Becoming Us. This one is specifically for marriages, or you could really use it for any relationship. But it's Beth McCord and Jeff McCord. But this one is about the Enneagram and the gospel, and how you can use it in any of your relationships. It's really great. Just to learn about other people and how they work, and more deep down about their core longings and needs, not just, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert or,
Right.
I feel like a lot of other personality tests, they focus on like your working relationships and how
A lot
you
do.
Yeah.
The ones I've taken in the past very much focus on how you relate to other people in a working relationship, so that you are put into a job you're best suited for.
Yeah, and your productivity can be, asserted, whatever.
This one seems like it's how you perceive yourself a little bit.
Yeah, this is more about knowing yourself and also knowing your core longings and needs, because we all have the same, at its root, the same one, but it comes out in various forms. In this book I was reading, she kind of shows it as like different glasses. Everybody sees the same world, but everyone has, someone sees it through red glasses. This one sees it through blue glasses. And we all have our different
interesting
glasses that we see the world through. And they're all valid. One isn't more right than the other. It's just that we see the world differently.
Except for his.
Seth is the exception. So he's special, which is, isn't that what you wanted? So, yeah.
And it's interesting because, like I said before, I've taken numerous of these tests for the radio station that I'm working at now. They have what's called the CVI test, and it gives you, what is your predominant personality trait, and then it has subsequent, what's your other personality traits. Yeah. And no matter if I took that one, I took this one, I took a whole bunch of, I'm always the same personality type, different names, but it's always the same type.
Well, I mean, at least you're consistent.
It's a big bully. That's all it is. Big bully. A nice one, though.
Was the word narcissism used, or I'm just curious?
No. Sociopath.
Okay, I mean, same category.
Actually. Anyway, so we took this test, and it's called Enneagram, right?
The Enneagram, yeah.
Okay. So how is that spelled? Just so people can go and take a look at it, so that they can.
It's Enneagram, so it starts with an E. So ENNEAGRAM. So,
all right. So if you just do a Google search for Enneagram, you'll come up with some great information.
So it's for 9, because there's 9 different types, and gram for drawing. So they do have a drawing for it. Just to throw this out there, I mean, some people don't like this at all, just because the style of it, they feel like it is a little bit on the satanic side. But in some of just from the background of it, people think it is, but it's not. And my perspective on it is, from a Christian side of it, God can use anything to help you better relate with Him. Right.
Absolutely.
So regardless of where this came from or how it was used in the past, we're using it in order to know ourselves better, and thus to know God better, and to relate with other people in better ways. So
perfect.
All good things. All good things.
Right.
So yeah. So there's 9 different types, and they focus on what we do, our behaviors, but it goes beyond that as to the why. What is our core needs, and why do we behave that way? Why does Seth need to feel special? Why does my dog whine so much? Like, why? What do you need?
Did you give your dog the Enneagram test too?
No, she probably needs it though. I don't know. So,
well, why don't we get into the categories that we are and give a little bit of an explanation. So, Dale, you took the test, right? All right. What category did you fall into?
I'm type 2. It says the supportive advisor, whatever that.
All right.
Interesting.
So, Holly, what does supportive and advisor, what are the traits for a number 2? And let's see if you and I agree, because we know Dale very well.
I know, that's why I'm like, interesting. I don't know. So, okay, the supportive advisor. Thoughtful, generous, demonstrative, people-pleasing, and possessive. I can see, okay, now that...
Not possessed.
Not, possessive. Okay, so Dale, you see the world through relationships, believing that all people deserve to feel that someone loves and cares for them. You take a genuine interest in others and support anyone in need through your acts of service, helpful advice, and nurturing disposition. Okay, I do agree with that. Yeah.
I agree with that 100% so far.
Yeah. You have a natural sensitivity and empathy to the needs of others who are hurting, and you intuitively know how to help. So
yeah. There's nothing Dale won't do for somebody. He'll give his shirt off his back to somebody.
Do you want it now?
No, we're
no,
good.
please
Thanks.
don't.
Okay. It's here if you want it, though.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
So we go into the core needs, core motivations. So your core fear, which this is where it gets really deep and kind of like, okay, back off.
I know.
So core fear, being rejected and unwanted, being thought worthless, needy, inconsequential, dispensable, and unworthy of love. So
don't we all have that, though?
Well, and that's the thing. We all have sides of every single one of these 9 personality types. We do, but some of us display it stronger. And
it's daddy issues, I think. Yeah, because I have abandonment issues.
Okay.
Something like that.
And so your core desire on the other side of that is being appreciated, loved, and wanted. We appreciate you, Dale.
Thanks, Holly. Seth, you?
No. Oh, wait. Yep. We're not done yet.
Absolutely. We're not done. Hold on.
Poking. Hold on. Core weakness is pride. Denying your own needs and emotions while using your intuition to discover and to focus on the emotions and needs of others. Confidently inserting your helpful support in hopes that others will say how grateful they are for your thoughtful care. And just to sum it up, your core longing is that you are wanted and loved. So now, yeah.
I think with some variation in there, I don't think that's all that there is to Mr. Dale. But I'll tell you what, I think that hits it right on the head. Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth. What do you think, Dale? Do you think that describes you, or is that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. Yeah, like like I think Grace Slick said it best. Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that's my song. Yeah.
And the Enneagram,
I think
there's other parts, like they have wings where you have certain other sides for other personality types, that you use. But the 2 is just the core, the center part. But you have other, another person that's a 2 may not be exactly like you.
Right.
One of my best friends that you know, Dale, is actually a 2 as well, which is kind of funny. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I've been told that we have about 10 minutes left on this particular show. All
right.
So Holly, let's get into your. All right, we're done with Dale.
How about you go next?
Quickly.
What's your category?
Me? No, let's do Seth next. Let's do Seth. Yeah.
Yes.
We don't. Now, Holly, we should probably. Okay.
No, go ahead.
All right, I took the test. I'm a number 1.
Surprising.
Well, explain. On my thing here, it says number 1 is the reformer, rational, idealistic, principled, purposeful, self-controlled, and perfectionist.
Yeah, I'm referencing this book, by the way, which if you can't see it on the video, it's called Becoming Us from Beth McCord and Jeff McCord. So type 1, the moral perfectionist, which I feel like is a better description for you, at least. Conscientious, orderly, appropriate, ethical, and judgmental. So.
Yes.
About right. All right. So quickly, core motivations.
Wow.
Your core fear, being wrong, bad, evil, inappropriate, unredeemable, or corruptible.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I go on. You shut up, you. Okay.
No, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just listening. I didn't say nothing.
I know what you're not saying.
Core desire, having integrity, being good, ethical, balanced, accurate, virtuous, and right. So, yeah.
When you say, the whole being right thing, that hits really close to home. That one is very, very, very true. Yeah. Either I'm right or you're stupid. And
that sounds about right for you.
And see, the personality test that I took, it showed that there's 2 sides to that. Is one, I try and be helpful and right and advisory and so forth. And then if you don't take my advice, I turn to what they call the dark side and try to become persuasive. And I will intimidate you and try to persuade you to take my advice because dadgummit, I'm right, you're wrong, and you better listen. And that's something I've really worked at saying, you might want to hold back on that.
Well, so core weakness, resentment, repressing anger that leads to continual frustration and dissatisfaction with yourself, others, and the world for not being perfect. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Man, this sucks because this is really very, very true. It is. It's like, fine, don't take my advice. See what happens. I don't care.
Because you're right and the rest of us are wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So
I told you.
So your core longing, and the core longing is kind of the phrase that you need to hear, and like what Dale had. So yours is the phrase, you are good. And that's the deep down that you want to hear. So, so I feel you there. Yeah. Okay. So, so I actually have a one wing, and so I kind of resonate a little bit with that. Not fully, but I do have that side. Another one of my friends is also a one, and so it's interesting to see the differences because you are not the same people, but same core needs. So okay. And so I am. Yeah,
let's jump into you because we got like 5 minutes left.
Got it. Okay,
we can do it.
All right, so I am the type 9, and the peaceful mediator. So thoughtful, reassuring, receptive, accommodating, and resigned. Yeah, this is after I've learned about this and realized and kind of accepted it. I was like, oh yeah, this is 100% right.
I agree with that because of your role. For those that don't know, the three of us used to do a morning show years ago, and Dale and I would get into it on the air. We'd be going back and forth, and Holly was always the one that's like, okay, easy, we got to stop, and that. Man, that's accurate. All right, what else about your personality type?
For me, like when I read the news or anything about the world, I need to have peace and I need to have balance and stability. And so, like when I read, like I don't like.
So you're stressed right now.
Yeah, I don't like. I don't like debates or anything like that where people are upset at each other and not finding middle ground, because in my mind there's always middle ground to find, and if you don't find it, that makes me mad because I'm right, so I do have that one side. So it's because it's a circle. Remember, this is it's an Enneagram, so it's a drawing, so it goes in a circle. The 9 is at the top, and then it starts 1 and it goes around. So my wings are a 1 wing and an 8 wing, and so there's the other side. So it's interesting if you ever want to read more about it to learn about the wings and how they interact as well. Okay, so going forward for me, core motivations, my core fear is being in conflict, tension, or discord, feeling shut out and overlooked, and losing connection with others. And that's, 100% true. So core desire is having inner stability and peace of mind, which again, that's why I don't read the news a lot, because it disrupts my inner stability and peace. So my world is good. Don't disrupt my world. So my bubble. So core weakness, and this is absolutely true, is the sloth. And that's why it's sometimes called the sloth, is remaining in an unrealistic and idealistic world in order to keep the peace, remain easygoing, and not be disturbed by your anger, falling asleep to your passions, abilities, desires, needs, and worth by merging with others. So it's actually it could be a dangerous side of that too. There's a dark side to every single one of these personality traits.
And so it's interesting because the reason we bring this up is because especially in a marriage, any kind of relationship, personal relationship, if you understand these traits about yourself and you understand these traits about the other person, you can help better understand the conflicts that happen and how to resolve them. And that's what this really boils down to is, us guys, we look at you women sometime and go, you're so illogical. What's wrong with you? And I'm sure I've heard maybe you guys do the same thing to us.
Yes, we don't understand.
And what it boils down to is these personality traits have a lot of answers here about how we get along, how we see things, and how we can be handled. You know what I'm saying?
And it's not just a gender thing. It could be any relationship. It could be a working relationship, a friendship, whatever. Once you learn what that other person's core need is, you realize that every single action that they take is in response to that need. So for me, that's why I don't watch the news. It's because I'm responding to my need for peace and stability, and don't disturb that. Don't rock the boat. That is hard for me. So yeah, it's helpful in relating with other people, and then also being able to
Absolutely.
communicate, hey, I need this from you. This is my core need.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Right.
my personality type, that's really hard, is asserting myself. That's fair. I'm working on that. But
see, for me, the opposite is true. It's very difficult for me not to assert myself.
Exactly.
It's very difficult for me not to flip to that dark side and start the intimidation factor. It's like, oh no, I had an issue with customer service just day before yesterday, and when I didn't get my way, I totally went to the dark side, and actually I ended up getting my way.
What do you know?
So I know. Listen, I hate to do this. We're almost out of time. I really wish we could talk more about this, and we will probably take this subject up again in another podcast because it's fascinating. Holly, what's the name of the book?
This
one more
was
time?
called Becoming Us. It's by Beth McCord and Jeff McCord. Since she's got other books as well, if you just want one just about your type. So.
Okay. So thank you very much. Don't forget, check us out on YouTube because I hit the record button this time. New episodes drop every Tuesday about 3 o'clock. Thank you very much for joining us on the best podcast on the planet.